Tea Time with Key. I'm your host, Kiara Overton. As usual, I hope you guys give this video a big thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, make sure you guys turn on your notifications so you can stay tuned to more episodes of Tea Time with Key. Today on the show, I have one of my great friends, someone who's done a lot in the community, and his name is Trevor Rudd. Trevor, you can go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello everyone, my name is Trevor Rudd. I am an alumnus of North Carolina A&T State University. I graduated with 2 degrees in Information Technology and Business Education. I'm the Chief Executive Officer for The Village Mentoring Incorporated, which is a local nonprofit here in Greensboro that was started 3 years ago, and we focus on student development within the minority male community.
So how did the Village get started?
The Village got started really through a vision I had back in 2016. I was coming out of a real low moment. I always feel like, a lot of people's ideas, they come from when you're in like a low place, you start to want more. So, for some people, it just kind of comes to them what they want to do. For some people, it's kind of like, they really push out, there's more I want to do. So for me, I think I just sat around one day and I thought about the possibility of doing a nonprofit. At first I thought it was very cliche because, we are in a generation of millennials. Right. So every day you see someone saying, I want to be my own boss. I want to do this. I want to do that. But I did not have a clue of anything about entrepreneurship at all. However, so I tried to put ideas in the back of my mind. It kept coming in. And then the word village just kept sticking out to me. And just from my time in undergrad, I always kind of connected with like a lot of younger males. And of course, with both of us going to an HBCU, most of those males were, minority. Right. So, just with my empathetic, I guess, characteristics that I have with other people, I felt like I did well with handling other people. And I always said that I felt like God blessed me with 2 things. The ability to make other people present their best selves, and He allowed me to be a great listener. So, I just feel like I had what it took to make an impact in other people's lives. However, I didn't know if doing the Village was something that would be sustainable or something that would be well embraced.
So you're going 4 years strong.
Yeah,
talking about sustainable.
Yeah, we just turned 3 in December, so now we're in our 4th year. But it's definitely been a roller coaster. It's been up and up and up. I honestly say we have not went up, down. It's only went up. But of course, if you're an entrepreneur, you understand that it's hard. It's a daunting task, especially when you're in the business of helping other people. There's a lot that comes with that. But, I like to feel like for all the work I do, for every, I guess, task that comes with the job, God gives me the strength to handle it. Right. So it's been a pretty blessed journey.
And with you bringing up God, do you feel like you're walking in your purpose, like when you started the Village?
Honestly, at first I wasn't sure. I think the common thing that is a struggle for a lot of us and like our generation is trying to decipher whether or not we are hearing God's voice or is it just our voices talking real loud. And so whenever I make any decision, even today, like when I make any decision, I'm always thinking, is this something God wants for me or is it something that I just want for myself? Right. And I'm blaming it on Him. So at first I wasn't sure, especially because when we first started, it wasn't embraced very heavy. I would say for the amount of people I know that know me and know my work, a lot of people did not apply originally. And I thought that was a sign that, Trevor, that's you. You went off and did something yourself. That's not really something God wanted for you. But nonetheless, I had the mentality of what good is going to do me to quit in 3 weeks, though. Let me ride it out for at least 6 months, just so I can say I gave it a fair try. And after I hit like the 2nd month, from the different workshops we did, programs, and the way we were out in the community doing things, it just seemed like a plethora of people started coming in. How can I join? I want to join. Wow, that looks great, man. I really love what you're doing. And So from there, I'm like, wow, like, we can really do something. That first year, we took a lot of risks. Like, we did a lot of things. And I think that was probably, my first year was definitely the most stressful. But, a lot of people, when they start stuff, typically they're very timid that first year. They're kind of like, well, let me just coast by, not do too much, do a couple things here and there, because, I got to keep my sanity. And I want everything to be nice. But for me, I was kind of like, if I'm going to do it, let's just go all in the first time. Because you see, your first 2, 3, or 4 years is trial and error.
Yeah.
It's trial and error, and you're trying to figure out your structure. You're trying to figure out, what kind of disciplinary policies am I going to put here? What kind of, like, incentives? What kind of team do I need? Location, time, place, like, connections, partnerships. So I went all in my first year because I felt like, that was a year where I could excuse myself if I messed up, But everything that we did that first year, it ended up being phenomenal. And so we've been able to, like, redo a lot of programs and community projects and things year by year. So as we said, we're going to our 4th year. A lot of things we're doing this year is kind of like our 4th time doing it. So, yeah, it worked out.
Right. How has, because I know you've impacted a lot of people's lives, and even before you started the village, you had even impacted mine before. So how does you being like a person that does impact people's lives, how does that make you feel personally? Look, don't play. You have to be full.
That is seriously, that's the emotion. Sometimes when I get that question, it's kind of surreal because, I am a first generation college student. I did grow up in a very rural community, and, I had no brothers. I have no neighbors. And to come to college in itself was very surreal. And all I wanted my freshman year was to get out of my box and to try new things. And like most people, I wanted to leave some type of legacy, when I graduated. But when you're young like that, you never know, like, what does it take to leave a legacy? What does it really mean to leave your mark? And I think what some people get messed up at is people want to leave their mark, but they do it in a selfish way. You leave your mark through the imprint you leave on others, not really yourself. The strides that you make in building other people up are small wins for you. Because, for me, every time that I feel like I'm able to help someone, give someone some direction, or say the right thing to them at the right time, I go to bed feeling like I made a small win today. And I would say that that's how it feels, when I go to bed at night. It's like, wow, like I feel like I made a lot of small wins today. It could be something as simple as shooting somebody a text and them responding and them saying, man, I really needed that today. But I will say this, my constant outpour of investment in other people, there is nothing I've put out that I've not got back tenfold. And so for a lot of people who meet me, they say, wow, you handle all of these guys. Do you ever feel drained? Do you ever feel overwhelmed? And I'm like, yeah, sometimes I do. And it's not because of them as people. It's because, we deal with people. People also have their own burdens. And they also have their own problems. And you take on those emotions, especially when they look at you to be like a strong foundation of support. But I look at them and I say, if I can do it for them, when it's time for me and I have a hard time, not only do I have a community and a village of people who are so willing to give that back, but I look at myself and I'm like, if I can do it for them, surely I can do it for myself. So I guess being strong for other people, it's a reminder of the strength I have for my own self. And that's the confident and the blessed part about all of it. When I look at how it affects me, and how I look at it. But, it is hard because sometimes you want to balance being very appreciative, pat yourself on the back, like, good job, but you still want to be humble. Because there are people who will, the first time you give yourself a compliment, will write you off like, oh, here he go. He thinks, so you definitely have to always come across humble without getting too caught up in what everybody else thinks. Because the reason why people like you is because you're authentic. And so when you get too caught up on what people think, it shows, and you might lose the impact you have. So there's a lot of thoughts that come through my head on a normal day. I'm pretty sure like many other people, but like someone who has not even started yet, I'm still trying to find my way.
Right. And did you imagine, like, because you said you came from a rural town, you said you didn't have no neighbors, like you just came from like a small town. Did you imagine that you would be where you are right now? Do you feel like this was manifested?
So my mom, she always put different things in me. So one thing she always told me when I was young was readers make leaders. Mm-hmm. She always had me reading. But she always told me, you're going to be a doctor one day. You're going to be a lawyer. And she wasn't putting a stigma on me on what route I should take. Mm-hmm. I think that was her way of telling me, when you put your mind to it, you could do whatever you want to do. Mm-hmm. But I would say that since high school, I've always had a urge to feel like, one day I'm going to be a humanitarian. Mm-hmm. I feel like I have what it takes to impact a mass amount of people. Mm-hmm. But back then, I did not have the confidence. Mm-hmm. I did not have the presentation, the speaking skills, but most importantly, the confidence. Mm-hmm. And I always thought in the back of my head, there is something special waiting for me in the future. Mm-hmm. I just don't know what it looks like. Mm-hmm. And I just don't know where that ladder is that I have to climb. Right. But I always knew that it would come to me. And when I came to college, my two main goals for myself, outside of, graduating, was to every day always be consistent and always be genuine. Mm-hmm. Always be consistent, always be genuine. Because that's the qualities that, you meet a lot of people these days and they don't have.
That's a fact.
Mm-hmm. And it's not because people are bad people. I think people are just so busy trying to find themselves, mm-hmm. and then they lose themselves in others, or they lose themselves in habits or hobbies, mm-hmm. and then they find themselves again. And mm-hmm. from the outside, it just looks like they're all over the place. Mm-hmm. But, I just always try to, keep a smile on, treat people kind, people will treat you kind, treat people with respect, don't talk bad about other people, don't indulge in environments that are not conducive to your growth, and, stay in your own lane. Right. But don't be afraid, though, to step in other people's lane when it's for their greater good.
Right. So what's some advice that you have for people that are thinking about starting a nonprofit or even are thinking about getting into the education system like you are?
For the education system is a career that a lot of people don't go after because mm-hmm. of the pay. If you're going to go into the education system, you have to be passionate about what you're doing. Mm-hmm. Because sometimes you can be underpaid for the work you're putting in. But your work ethic has to come from right here. Mm-hmm. It has to come from right here. And I think for me, I'm very passionate about student development. Mm-hmm. And there's different things within the education system. You have your teachers, your school administration, higher educators, academic advisors in college. But there's a lot of things in the education system that you can do. There's a business side to the education system, right. Which is what I currently do now. And so I think you just have to find your niche mm-hmm. and make sure that you're prepared to make that commitment. Mm-hmm. And I know a lot of people who are in certain fields, and when the job search gets hard, they're kind of like, well, let me just go straight to education. Mm-hmm. And truthfully, because there's always an opportunity there. There's always an opportunity in the education system. Mm-hmm. But you won't last long if your heart's not in it. Mm-hmm. For nonprofit, I would say, don't be so quick to pay all this money out mm-hmm. for the name mm-hmm. and I want this document and I want this status and I want this and I want that. So I'm going to go get a lawyer. I'm going to go to LegalZoom. And it's not a bashing of those options, but truthfully, when I started the Village, I didn't have the money to afford a lawyer. Right. To do my incorporation, mm-hmm. to do a 501c3, mm-hmm. to get my EIN and create my bylaws. I couldn't afford it. So what did I do? I went to the IRS websites, the Secretary of State websites, searched on Google, documentation for this, how do you create amendments for this? Mm-hmm. And I read. Mm-hmm. And that notion of what my mom used to say, readers make leaders, came in handy at that time because I literally learned how to build a nonprofit and how to work it and the ins and outs of it through reading.
Right.
You know, and it was really an easy process. And so I would say, you know, be mindful of how you spend your money and how you invest too early. Also, because the Village for the first 6 months, we were not a nonprofit. I just will always tell people, you know, we're a community group because I wanted to make sure that the Village was something that was going to stick before I start putting all of that extra money behind it.
Right.
You know, so everything to getting the website, to you know, funding our email hosting, to you know, now looking into getting certain things trademarked and getting a patent on this, to creating a scholarship program. All of those things came into play as we saw the growth of the organization. All of that stuff was just not laid out. You know, also too, you know, don't wait until you plan everything to actually start. If you do that, you will never start because you will always feel like I don't have this together. I don't have this together. I did not have anything together. I had a little Weebly website, and maybe you know a couple other things that. When I look back on it now, it's kind of like, oh my God, like that was such a downgrade from what we do now. But you know, it comes with time. You know, you got to step out there and just do it. Experience is the best teacher.
That's a fact.
And so the trial and error is what really helped me. So I would say, don't be afraid to go out there and just start, and then let your mistakes teach you how to be better.
I like that. That was a nice way to end the episode off. Thank you, Trev, for pouring into me and everyone else that you pour into. I'm sure this episode will pour into the people that get to watch it. And thank you guys for watching another episode of Tea Time with Key. I'll see you guys on the next one.